Hello. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the live stream. Welcome to the discussion of the next book club read. I apologize, I'm a little bit late. I just had dinner and it all just added up, but I am here now, so hope you can forgive me. But we are here to discuss our last book club book of 2023, which was The Overstory by Richard Powers. Um, Before we move on, let me know if you can see me and hear me, just to check, and if you can see me mirrored, because I don't want that, or if you see it correctly. Um, whoa, wait. Right there. Is that better angle? I don't want to sit like bent over because it will hurt my back, but maybe we can do like no, but they are up here, both of them. Is that okay? Or do we need them in the picture? Um, but yeah, let me get my copile ready because we'll go through that. But anyway. Hello, Natalie. Welcome. How are you? There she is. Hi, sorry for being late. What are the turtle mascots? They are watching over us through the turtles. It's not mirrored and sound is fine. Okay, good. Thank you for confirmation. I think you should put them on your headstand. If somebody serious is going to watch this later, they're gonna think I'm stupid. Hi. But okay. Not doing that today. I am silly, but let's maybe not go that far. Um, Turtles all the way down, yes. Perfect, yeah. But no, not now. Another time. Um, but yeah, so we are going to be talking about The Overstory by Richard Powers, which is the book that earned him a Pulitzer Prize, which is a prize for like outstanding contribution in literature and art and music or something like that. So it and like everybody knows it, and everybody who reads books knows Pulitzer Prize. It's a big prize. So this book earned the author Pulitzer Prize. I think it's my first Pulitzer Prize book I've ever read. And yeah, I have things to say. Not saying good or bad, but I have things to say. First of all, we're gonna say just in general, to talk about it without spoilers at first, as for a little while if we can, and then we'll jump into spoilers later, and then also put a banner down there that we're talking about spoilers. So if people jump in or something, they can just be aware that we're talking about spoilers and can leave if they want to. So first of all, what this book is about is, yes, it's a literary fiction about how to describe this book. It is about the life on our planet, about how people live, how they approach growth in the society, and about the psychology basically of the society, and mostly about trees and about forests. And that's basic, just like a really basic summary. It is told from many points of view. We have 9, I believe. We have Nicholas, Mimi, Adam, Ray and Dorothy, Douglas, Neeley, Patricia, and Olivia. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 characters in total. Even though, yeah, because we have Dorothy and Ray, and they are a married couple. And we get kind of their story together, but it does tend to be told from different points of view, like their own point of view. So in total, 9 characters, 9 points of views that at first section of the book, we are just introduced to the characters and their childhood and how they grew up or how they met or how what happened to them in their early life pretty much and into early adulthood. And then later, after the first part is over, when we are introduced to these characters, we dive deeper, or like we follow them more and more things start happening related to the story itself and how their stories get interwoven and how they somehow come together in one way or another, and how each of their lives is centered around trees in one way or another. And even the summary sounds boring. Even happier idea. Yes, so boring. I totally understand why people would think I'm not gonna hold the book the entire time. Okay, I totally understand why people would find it boring, and I'm not gonna lie and say that it was entertaining the entire time. It was a lot of hard work. The writing is very special, and it is very, you know, award winning writing. So it's not just simple Colin Hoover or whatever you would have. It's actually very neat, it's very layered. There's so many things that I did not understand, and I understood they are somehow related and they are supposed to be an image of something else or a metaphor or connecting to something else that happened or that will happen. And I did not get it. There is lots of stuff that I didn't understand. So for that reason, I feel like I would have to reread this book multiple times to understand it properly. And even then, I would probably need someone to walk me through it or to explain to me what everything means, uh, because I don't think I grasped the full side. I don't think I did. I know I didn't. So it is a very hard work kind of book. It is not your relaxing Sunday read kind of book. It is, yeah, you need to put in the work, read it, savor it, think about it, and just try to find out what it's trying to say and how it could apply to your own experience, not necessarily life as a whole, but to your experience in the world. Okay. Let's go see what you guys are saying. So interested to hear your thoughts. I DNF'd it within the first 100 pages. Okay. Fair enough. I mean, I don't. I wouldn't DNF purely because it's a book club read. It would have to be the worst thing ever written for me to DNF a book club book that I have for my book club. But honestly, I don't think I was thinking about DNFing. I did struggle at some times, and I was wondering, like, okay, what is going to come out of it? But I don't think I was thinking of DNFing at all. I was the entire time waiting what's going to happen, and I was ready for the author to wow me and to yeah, give me tell me what he wants to tell me. I was ready. Probably should have rewatched my review of this. I'm gonna do that afterwards. But okay, so Cleo had a review on this, and I know Cleo, you love the book. So yeah, I didn't think it was boring at all, but yes, I felt a bit overwhelmed a bit too, and thought that I was missing points he wanted to make, especially in the first part. Yes. Yeah, in the okay, we will talk more about it in the spoiler bit, but in I thought of something for the first part that I just wanted to say, but maybe that's for spoiler report. Yes, Team DNF. Yeah, I don't remember it being hard work, but maybe it was. It's too long ago. Yeah, I don't think it's hard work in a way that it is super dense. I don't think it's dense in that way, but I thought the writing, it was a lot of metaphors and a lot of things that had more layers than just the sentences. And I could understand this is about something. This is trying to tell me something, but I don't understand what. And I did not understand well lots of the places. So that's what I mean by hard work, because that is a little bit discouraging to me. If I'm reading a book and I can feel it's trying to tell me something, like this definitely is not the intention that this sentence means what it's saying, but it means something else, or like it doesn't mean, the sentence itself, but there's something bigger around it. And if I don't understand that, it's a little bit discouraging. And that's what I would assume for me, or like what I mean by saying it was hard work, because there was lots of things like that. um, Not Steam DNF. I debated a long time about whether it was my favorite book of the year. I read it. um, I think I'll have to sleep on this one to know if it would be my favorite book I read this year. I mean, of course, we have 11 months to go, but as of right now, it would not be. But maybe it will settle now. Like, I had a similar experience, not exactly, but similar experience with People in the Trees by Hana Nigahara, where after I finished it, I was like, I don't know if it's 2 stars or a 5-star book. I don't know. And after a couple days or weeks, I still couldn't stop thinking about it. So I was like, that's a good book. That's a good book. And even though there are some things I hated about it and some things that didn't work, I still gave it 4 stars because I was like, I couldn't stop thinking about the book. So I get similar vibes to that. Like, I need to think about it. I need to weigh how much it's gonna weigh on my brain in the next couple days or weeks, and based on that, I might decide. But I guess it's gonna be the same. I wait a long time, but I don't think as of right now it would be a favorite. I found I wasn't enjoying the narrative perspective. Fair, fair. Yeah, it was the writing was special. I went back to see the quote I shared 3 pages in when I knew it would be a big nope, but somehow made it 23 pages apparently. Yeah, you pushed yourself 20 pages. And I mean, of this, I don't know which edition you have, but this, like, there is so much text on each page, so that's a lot of pages. I never thought about the anything, but for me, it got easier to follow from the second part on. Yes. Um, I think maybe like not from the start of the second part, because at the second part, like the first part takes, this is a 500-page book, and we have first part for 150 pages. So what I read about on pages, like in the first chapter, the first character, by the time I get 150 pages later, I already forgot a lot. So I struggled a little bit from the start of the second part, but I got into it. It got clearer pretty fast, actually. So yeah, similar experience. I meant that I should have rewatched it, by the way. I just don't remember much, and so also not enough of my own feelings about it. Yeah, I understood that's what you meant, but maybe you can. Yeah, I don't know. How long is that? We're not gonna pause now for you to rewatch it, but maybe you should have. But we can rewatch it later and discuss it then under your video or something. I just imagine this dude writing and thinking, ah, yes, this will make an impact. Beautiful sentence. Me. Good work. um, I don't have a problem with that, honestly. And he's obviously not the only one who thought so. So I don't know. But it's funny, yes. It's Bark presses hard against her back, hard as life. Nope. I think, actually, let me see. is that it doesn't say name of the woman in the chapter, but I'm pretty sure it's one of our characters. And in the end, if I understood this correctly, see, this is what I mean. Like, I would need to reread it. But if I understood it correctly, at the end, at the very end, one of the characters actually does end up in this exact scene, thinking these things. But so then it would make sense. Yeah, I think so. It must be her. So then it gives, see, that's the point. That's why the book is so interesting, and like why I'm sure it did so well with the critics is because it's so layered, and there are so many things that happen in throughout the book that are referring to different events in the book. And it takes that I felt took a lot of, or can take a lot of brain power to connect the dots. And yeah, so that is explained. I don't, this is, I didn't get from the book at all the feeling that he would think that life is hard because she's a woman. It's because of what happened in her life. um so yeah, I don't know if that helps at all. For my Goodreads review, um read this if you like meticulously structured novels, if you have an interest in the natural world, if you are concerned about the state and future of our natural world. Skip this if you can't stand to hear one more person talk about how we need to make concessions to our comfort in order to save the future of our planet. If you get impatient when the forward momentum in a story seems to come to a complete stop for 100 pages on end. Fair. Fair, fair. Just, well, for me, it made an impact, and there were some beautiful sentences. If he uses his gift this way, I'm not going to be angry. Yeah, exactly. Yes. Clearly, I'm not a Litvic girly, as the kids say. Yeah, that's totally fair. If that's not your genre, if that's not what speaks to you, it's completely fine. It's just not the book for you, but that's fine. I should have read your review, Cleo. Yeah, well, you can read it now. That's fine. I'm so interested in rereading a section of it now because I cannot stand pretentious writing normally. So clearly, I had a very different experience with the writing. I don't think it was. I didn't get the feeling it was pretentious. Was it? I don't think so. I think they were very troubled characters, all of them, really, for one reason or another. But I didn't feel it was pretentious. Thankfully, my library had the ebook, but I think it was your one. Oh, yeah. I was just immediately thinking, oh, this old man is not telling me how hard life is for women. Yeah, exactly. I don't think that's what he meant at all, actually. Now I finished, I think that it was intentional that we didn't get any point made. It's complicated and mysterious, and maybe that's the point that was made. Yeah. I think there was a point. See, again, would need to reread immediately to understand the entire thing. I thought the writing was fine, but this book and Blonde by Joyce Carol Oates made me realize that I don't like a book that is mostly prose with little dialogue. Fair, totally fair. It is slow. It is slow, or can be. Yeah. Ooh, true. I didn't make the connection yet with the tree in the back. Yeah. When she is, it is really like 2 pages before the end. Yeah, it's 3 pages before the end. And yeah, she's sitting in the park and thinks over everything, and then it's exactly the thing as it says. It's that it just phrased differently, but it's direct reference to the beginning. So yeah, trying it together at the very end. Tying it together at the very end is that the lit equivalent of the series gets really good after book 4. No, I think no, I don't think so. I think it's more like, come on, you liked migrations. What's going on, Jess? Why are you such a hater? No, but I think with literary fiction, it's more like if it ties at the end, if it all makes sense in the end, it's kind of like, because okay, I'm not a big fan of if the book doesn't make any sense as you go through it, and then it only makes sense in the end. Like, for example, if I'm to say example, which I didn't like at all how it was done, but it did try to do exactly this, was Girl, Woman, Other. Try to, no, I couldn't deal with that book. But then there are books like this where it definitely ties together. It goes a circle, but it tells you story as you go. You get something valuable as you go. It's not only the final message. It's not only the final chapter that does the punch. There is a punch halfway through. It's shocking, and it's just, yeah. Or I don't know if it was halfway through. It was more like 70% or something. And it's just, yeah. I don't think it's the same. Can I ask a spoilery question yet? Call her. Yeah. Yeah, I think we can go to spoilery stuff now. I think it is time. I'm gonna put spoilers. So if you don't want spoilers now, say so quickly in the comments that maybe you want to say something else before we go into spoilers, before you want to hop out. Otherwise, we'll just go for spoilers, and it will be easier to talk about them, for sure. So soon, Jess. I did like migrations. I'm a fickle wench. What can I say? Yeah. It's just satisfying, right? That's also why I like Brandon Sanderson, because he's great at bringing strands from earlier in his book together towards the end. Yeah, exactly. But it, for me, it also needs to do stuff throughout the book. It can't be only like, oh, I'm giving you something here, I'm giving you something here. And for 80% of the book, it doesn't make any sense. And then it only makes sense in the end. I don't like that. But this book did it fine. I didn't have problem with this one, where it did wrap up in the end. Not exactly like, it didn't close everything, it didn't give you answers, or I don't know how to explain it, but it it was doing its thing the entirety of the book, not only at the end, not only it all ties at the end and you only understand in the end. It makes sense throughout, it gives you something throughout, and then in the end it just kind of refers to the back, to the first, to the start, but it doesn't, it doesn't like fix the book, the end, if you know what I mean. I don't know. But I also like Branderson. Yeah, you like Brandon. Yeah, that works. Okay, so we're gonna go into spoilery part now. What's your question, Jess? What's your spoilery question? We need a book club, Jess, where we hold a tally of which books work for whom and the rare gems that work for both of us. Yes, definitely. Oh, I don't know. Start a book club. It's fine. I would join probably. I mean, I want to join fewer book clubs this year, but depends on a book, I guess. But yeah, that would be very interesting. Did you like the tree structure? The tree structure. So we had roots. I think that makes 100% sense, and I think you can understand it from the beginning what that means. Trunk, crown, seeds. I guess it makes sense. I think I would struggle a little bit more with the last, like with the three ones, the trunk, crown, and seeds, like what they are what they're supposed to mean. I love the thought of it, but I'm not sure what they were trying to say with that. Like I kind of guess, but I'm not sure. But anyway, one thing, not anyway. I wanted to point out one thing. Yeah, there is a reading group guide available, so I'm gonna try to find that, see if there are any fun questions you'd like to discuss. But also in the beginning of the book, for me, it says the Overstory is printed on 100% recycled paper. By using recycled paper in place of paper made with 100% virgin fiber, the paperback first printing has saved 637 trees. 614,962 gallons of water. Now double that to be liters approximately. 206,700 pounds of greenhouse gas emissions. 62,925 pounds of solid waste. Totals quantified using the eco calculator at rolandinc.com. I really like that they added it, because otherwise it's kind of a joke, right? I'm not sure it got the tree structure 100%. I got the roots, but then I lost it a bit. Yeah, I feel the same. I think the trunk was kind of like bringing them together. So then in the crown, they can grow together and apart, and then see how each of them did something to continue. In Each of them did something that would inspire other people to do things. So, like planted seeds. If that's how I understand, I don't know. Would our book club be Cleas or Gestio? Bemus Jester, Cleophilic Jest, Bemus Gesture Worm. I'll see myself out. That's too funny. I saw it as the interweaving. In the roots section, they are all isolated, and then the stories intermingle in the trunk, slip into smaller clusters in the crown, and then it gets a bit vague. Yeah, kind of. Yeah, I would agree with that. Somewhat. Um, I'm gonna check the. Thank you. I'm gonna check the reading group guide. What do you want?
Do you have some SD card?
Uh,
Is it in here?
just a second, guys. Okay, sorry, guys. Sorry.
Sorry.
um, yes, that's just what came to my mind too, Cleo. It comes together in the trunk and then spread out again. Yeah, kind of. See, the structure sounds fascinating, but I didn't care about the story enough. The story was bigger than just one character, that's the thing. Literally, the one thing I remember about this book is the structure. Yeah. And I think they also attach themselves to trees at some point. Yes. Yeah. Um, Two of them live in the tree for like a year. So, yep. And it made me add the Hidden Life of Trees to my Goodreads want to read list. Hidden Life of Trees, which one is that? But yeah, so far my memories of this book. I do like symbolism though. Side effects of an English degree. Yeah, that's why. Like, if you studied English, as your degree, you maybe would appreciate this book so much, because I'm sure you would be able to find the connections and the symbolism and the metaphors much easier than me. So it's such a shame that you didn't like it. Uh, Hidden Life of Trees. I think it's on my TBR too, no? By Peter Wolleben. Yeah, I have it on my. Oh, it's hot. It is on my TBR as well. Um, I think that book was mentioned in the book. It could be. Wait, did you answer my question and I missed it? You didn't ask it. You only ask if you can ask a spoilery question. You only ask if you can ask spoilery question, but I don't think you asked it. I really wanted to like it though. I'm sad. Yeah. We didn't see your question. No, we did not. Um, the Overstory. Okay. Add to cart now about this book. Reading guide. The overstory is broken into 4 sections: roots, trunk, crown, and seat. Each section is introduced by a short passage from an unusual, even mysterious point of view. How does this book's structure and voice depart from the typical shape and terms of a novel? Does seeing the book in the form of a giant tree change how you read it? That's a question we can ask or talk about. Damn, I did ask. Maybe it didn't send. Maybe it didn't, or maybe it didn't show or something, but we didn't see it, Jess. So do it again. Um, yeah, but what about the short passage from the unusual, even mysterious point of view? In the first one, Roots, I think we know that is Mimi. That should be Mimi, right? That was where it connected in the end. But then the other sections, I'm actually not sure who was saying those, or like who was that. Do you guys have an idea? Or I mean, Natalie, you are the only one who read it recently. So, but oh yeah, it would be so worth it to read it again, like right away, so you get everything. I asked if whoever the woman in the beginning was leaning against the tree ended up leaning against the tree at the end to die. Um, no. Well, um, yes and a no. I want to say that was what I was wondering, like if she did die there, but I don't think she did. But I had very strong feeling that she did. Um, She lifts her eyes onto a trouser cuff of blackish blue. She follows the blue upward along the creases, past the belt with its radio and cuffs and gun and oak baton, up the blue black pressed shirt and badge, and onto the face. A man, a boy, a blood relation, whose eyes find hers. The man stares back at her, alerted by what he has just seen. An old woman talking to a thing whose answers are all mute, wooden, and spreading. Are you all right? She tries to move, but can't. Her voice won't work. Her limbs stiffen. Only her fingers can wave a little. She holds the man's gaze, open to every charge. Guilty, her eyes say. Innocent. Wrong. Right. Alive. That's the last we hear from her. So I'm not sure if she died. Maybe I should have thought about the structure before reading it. It didn't impact my reading experience beforehand, I think. With a little confused by the other sections too. Yeah, I think it. I was thinking about it. Like, what is it going to mean? I don't think it affected my reading experience, but I think it was very clear what the root section was doing. And I think that would have been clear even if it wasn't for the tree structure. Um, so, yeah, I don't know. I don't think it affected it all that much. I guess she did die there, yes. But her last thought were alive. Yes, exactly. So open to interpretation, but she probably died. I think that's probably connected again to the entire theme of the book, where life continues, and when humans are basically just 1 second of the life on Earth. And if you, yeah, if you do the spread like a planet or like Earth over 1 day, then humans, or like the way we exist, we came like 1 second before midnight. And I guess that it kind of refers to that like life, that even though she dies, she didn't really die. I don't know how to explain it. And she looked up the dude's body in the tree structure. Oh, symbolism. That's kind of lovely. Yeah. But if he's a blood relation, maybe she's thinking how she will live on in him. Yeah, probably. Yeah, because it doesn't say who it is, and she didn't have children, but it could be like nephew or something. But I don't know. See, that's why it would be some, yeah. I would really love to read it with someone who can explain it to me. Polish his English degree. There you go. um, should we have a look at the second question? I mean, there is freaking 12 questions, but we can just see if you want to talk about any of them. Second question from the reading guide is: Nicholas inherits a scrapbook filled with photographs of the same tree taken monthly over 3/4 of a century. Are there any acts of sustained attention in our digital age that permit a similar experience of deep time? Spotify wrap up. Otherwise, no. No. Spreading like the seeds of a tree. Yeah. Oh, or her ideas live on in someone else. Exactly. Could be. Yes. Spreading like the seeds of a tree. What nephew? She was talking with the tree, right? What did I miss? What did I miss? Let me go back. Yeah, it's a tree. See, I need to reread it. I missed so much. Nephew, sorry, yeah. I like this spelling. But yeah, see, there are lots of things like this that I missed, probably because I hurried so much with reading it. I mean, I did not hurry that I could have hurried more. But I told myself, no, I want to enjoy it. I want to read properly, but I still obviously missed a lot of things. So yeah, she was talking to the tree and someone came over to talk to her, right? I don't know. I'm going off the out loud reading. Yeah, I don't know. I can read it again. We can get to the bottom of this. So she's sitting by the tree. I don't know how much I'm actually allowed to read here, like for copyrights and stuff. So I don't want to read the entire page. And that would be boring. But yeah, here she is. Next day dawns, the sun rises so slowly that even the birds forget there was ever anything else but dawn. People drift back through the park on their way to jobs, appointments, and other urgencies, making a living. Making a living. It says, it's in italics. Some pass within a few feet of the altered woman. Mimi comes to and speaks her very first Buddha's words. I'm hungry. The answer comes from right above her head. Be hungry. I'm thirsty. Be thirsty. I hurt. Be still and feel. And then it goes. She lifts her eyes onto a trouser cuff of blackish blue. She follows the blue upward along the creases, past the belt with its radio and cuffs and gun and oak Baton. I don't know how to pronounce it. Up the blue, black pressed shirt and badge, and on to the face. Is it a police officer or is it a tree that reminds her of a police officer? Because radio, cuffs, gun, baton, blue black pressed shirt, and badge, and onto the face. A man, a boy, a blood relation, whose eyes find hers. The man stares back at her, altered by what he has just seen. An old woman talking to a thing whose answers are all mute, wooden and spreading. Are you all right? She tries to move but can't. Her voice won't work. Her limbs stiffen. Only her fingers can wave a little. She holds the man's gaze, open to every charge. Guilty, her eyes say. Innocent, wrong, right, alive. Is that when she finally got to admit to the police she was guilty? I'm not sure. It literally says the tree talks. Yeah, the part about I'm hungry, right? The where she's like, yeah, that she's talking to the tree. I'm hungry, be hungry, I'm thirsty. Yes. But then I don't know. Does she have a vision that it's a police officer but it's a tree, or does she has like does it merge together, police officer and a tree? The altered woman, so the tree absorbed her, maybe, and she lives on as the tree, maybe. Ah, no, at the end I think it is a police officer. Yes. Yeah. I found that very interesting because shortly before that she was thinking about handing herself. Yes, exactly. She was thinking of going to the police and yeah, saying that she was one of the five there. So yeah, that is probably a police officer. Ooh, the guilty innocent part definitely makes it sound like he's a cop. Yeah. Yeah, and she did something horrible, so she was guilty. And she was thinking in pages before to go to the police and admit, or like to, yeah, to hand herself in. So she learns the language of trees, and the alive refers to the life of trees she feels around her. Yeah, exactly. Yes. I think so. I think we figured it out. But in the beginning, the tree talks. And yes, in the end, the part about being hungry. Yeah, yes, exactly. And if she can't move her arms, only the tips of her fingers, maybe she can't move her branches, just the leaves. Has she been a tree this whole time from the start? But no, I don't know. But yeah, yeah, she probably turned into a tree, kind of thing. Yeah, it's a very interesting book. Like you could probably dissect every page. It's really intense, but yeah, I don't know. Or am I making this into sci-fi and I'm imagining her transferring her consciousness to the tree? Well, yeah, I don't think she actually like. I don't think that's what the book tried to do, like to literally transform into a tree. But there was kind of symbolics throughout the entire book about turning people into something else. So I think it's kind of reference to that as well. Um, the books talk so much about how humans and trees have a lot of same genes and are so much more connected than we think. I guess this point was made again here. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah, I actually marked that quote. I didn't mark it in the book, but I wrote it down. Literally, it says multiple times actually, but it says, you and the tree in your backyard come from a common ancestor. 1.5 billion years ago, the two of you parted ways. But even now, after an immense journey in separate directions, that tree and you still share a quarter of your genes. So definitely kind of goes back to that. Read the tasks of extinction. What is that? Is that the mammoth elephant specialist one? That's the one. No, she wasn't a tree though, and also not turns into one, just the reference. Yes. Yeah, exactly. That's how I understood it too. Wait, yes, it is. I just listened to you talk about it. Nice. Mm? Okay. Should we go into? Do we want to see what is in the reading guide and see maybe further questions that they have for us, because might be interesting questions, or do we want to go to the compile and try to find out what the rating would be and discuss each part of the book? What do you guys prefer? Well, if she did turn into a tree, I would have been way more interested. Yeah, no, I don't think that happened. Um, but I mean, it's all full of symbolism like that. And I also loved how it wasn't really, I didn't feel like it was condescending, or not in the whole message of the book. At times, of course, it was. At times, it was very extreme. But as a whole feeling from the book, I didn't get. I think it did pretty good point of at making it as in like there is a reason why we are the way we are and why we treat the nature the way we do, and that even though we need to do better, it doesn't make you feel like you need to stop everything right now and go live in a tree, but it makes you feel like you need to think about it and see what you can do to improve the way we treat the nature and to appreciate trees more. I think that was really good, actually, thinking about it. Yeah, then for you we can say she did. Yes, just this is a giant prequel to a sci-fi novel about a woman tree that attacks Earth to reclaim the planet. I would so read that. I would read that. Yes, me too. But also, actually, thinking of this, I wonder. It was mentioned a couple times in this book. It was specifically like mentioned as a concept, and it was in italics. Was written bewilderment, which is the next book that he wrote. I think it was released 2 years ago, and the book is called Bewilderment. And now I'm like, did he refer in here to the book he was writing next, or like he was planning for future? That would be so cool. Maybe you could quietly read through the questions, and if one interests you, we can talk about it. Yeah, we could do that. Uh, would 100% read that book. But that kind of reminds me of sci-fi novel about the woman tree that attacks Earth to reclaim the planet. Kind of reminds me of Iron Widow. She doesn't turn into a tree, but something. Still need to read Bewilderment. Yeah, it's on my TBR. Only one way to find out. Yeah, to read it. I have it on Audible, I think. Um, but what did I want to say? Yeah, I also wanted to say I didn't take note of this, but I should have. But it, yeah, I already mentioned in times it reminded me of People in the Trees, and by Hannah Yanagihara, and I was thinking it would be really interesting to read a book like this if Hannah Yanagihara wrote it, because I love her writing so much. It's so vivid. I think, well, it would totally throw me off and it would give me anxiety attack every single day, but I would so go for it. I wouldn't, but I would be so interesting. That was one thing I was thinking. Second thing, in times it reminded me, and I don't know if this is a spoiler for the other book I want to say. Not exactly, because it doesn't end similarly, but it had similar tendencies as Babel by R.F. Kuang. I don't know if anybody of you read it and could potentially see some connections. And then one more book, but what was that? I don't know if I can remember. I don't know. But yeah. Reminds me of a Christmas special episode of Doctor Who. I did not get along with People in the Trees. Yeah, I know. That's okay. That's okay. Did you read The Little Life? Or did you read only People in the Trees and said you don't want to read anything from her again? But yeah. I read Babel, but it was too long between the both, so it did not remind me of one another. Yeah, I see. I see. I read Babel last year, like a year, not last year, year before, so like 1 year and 4 months ago or something. And it felt like it had similar tendencies, especially with the extremist part, with the arsonry. It felt kind of similar. like getting into the extremist mindset. Yes, I did like A Little Life. Okay. Yeah, fair. I also loved A Little Life, no question. And People in the Trees was like, did I like it? Didn't I like it? I don't know. But so I get it. I get it. Um, but yeah, the People in the Trees is more nature focused. There is no nature in Little Life. But People in the Trees, I think, does a lot with nature and preserving preserving nature and not dominating everything. Mm. Okay, we have next question. Is Nilay's fall from the tree entirely accidental? How does it shape his future storyline? Does his descent into virtual worlds dovetail with the other characters' experience and choices? Why do his learners come so fully to the foreground in the final section seats? That's a great question. Is his fall accidental? Entirely accidental. I don't think it's entirely accidental. But yeah. The book suggests that life is asking something of humanity, that humans are not alone in possessing subjectivity and agency, desire and purpose. Is this true? Did your belief in the urgency and importance of trees change while reading the novel? Did the book affect your sense of human uniqueness? That's a great question. I think um, I'm gonna say this again, and I'm gonna say this always. If I didn't read the climate book before this, I would have probably not missed anything in this book when it comes to the tree and the function of the trees in our life. However, in the climate book, it was perfectly explained how much trees do for us. Well, for us, what trees do, and how amazing that is for us, and how we are screwed without trees. Trees don't need us, but we need trees. And that is so perfectly explained in the climate book. And I felt like that lacked a little bit here. I felt like it was more focused on the social life of trees rather than um, the function it has, the function trees have for healthy planet. Um, Even though maybe that was on purpose, because that way it was more like parallel between trees and people rather than what people can do for us. But at the same time, I think it would have made more of an impact if it was also explained a little bit more how the trees do so much for us, or how important they are for us. I don't know if that makes sense. Um, Imagines the tree pushing a kid off its branches. It happened in Harry Potter and what, Lord of the Rings as well, a little bit. I don't think he fell intentionally, but also not entirely on accident. He did think about it before. Yeah, exactly. I don't think he wanted to fall, but yeah, it wasn't 100% accident. Why can I not insert end gifts here, right? Yeah. I found reading about the social part of the trees very interesting. Never really read about this, but I guess it made sense even without it being explained anymore. Yeah, I mean, that's like the social part, yes. The climate book does not talk about the social part of the trees or of the forest at all. It talks more about the science of it all and about how they influence each other, how they are important, how much carbon dioxide they store. And when you cut down a tree, you not only cut down the tree, you release the entire bank of carbon dioxide that it stores in its roots and in the soil. And that all gets released into the atmosphere. So not only are you taking away the tree that processes the carbon dioxide from the atmosphere, you are releasing more. And it's just so much more stuff like that. And it's just, yeah. And then also it wasn't really doubled down on when there was this landslide in, was it in Colorado? I don't know. It was, I think it was Douglas point of view, where he was staying in the cabin, and there is this huge landslide that burrows his house and the neighbor's house. And is I didn't feel like it was put attention enough on why that happened, or that it happened because they were cutting down trees and it destabilizes the soil, or what, or it makes floods worse and things like this. Like, of course you can read about all of these elsewhere, but if you don't know much about it, this only plays on your emotional side rather than logical side, it feels like, but not 100%, but like a lot. So I just felt like not like focus on the scientific part of it, but like maybe just smudge smudge more. You know what I mean? I don't know. Yeah, I guess maybe there wasn't as much of a focus on that because that is normally what is focused on when we debate about deforestation. Yeah, yeah, of course. And again, I didn't mean for it to be like a focus, but I think it would have been good because I personally care about trees. I don't need to be told I should care about trees. So for me, it doesn't matter. But I'm just trying to imagine it from the point of view of someone who doesn't care about non-human beings, who doesn't care about pigs, cows, trees, bugs, whatever. Like, that person might not care all that much about how long the tree has been here. Like, why do I care? It gives me money. Like just that, like just a little additional sentence and or two to just explain that. But maybe that would ruin the point of, I don't know. I don't know. That's just my opinion. And now landslide will be stuck in my head. What do you mean? I didn't need that explanation. I guess that just was the logical way to explain it. I wouldn't think of myself knowing a lot about this on the scientific side, but I think I still got these hints. Okay, that's good. Yeah, that's good. He didn't get saved by the trees then, though. He did get saved by the trees. Oh, yeah, right. Yeah, Douglas got saved by trees twice. I mean, I guess that's nice. Mm, okay. Um, yeah, I like this one. Power cis characters observe how easily humans let group affirmation replace real insight. Douglas notes humanity's overwhelming tendency to mistake agreement for truth. And Adam's professor lectures about how we are all operating in a dense fog of mutual reinforcement. How does the novel challenge this habit of group thinking? What does it propose as an alternative? Can the habit ever really be escaped? That's a great question. I think it is a real thing. Um, wait. Did they all have three names? Yes and no. They got three nicknames, some of them. Douglas was one. His nickname was Duckfur. Not Duckfur, Duckfear. Like a Douglas fear. Yeah, Duckfear. Yeah. Then there was one, Adam. He was Maple, but that was just the nickname. Olivia, I don't think that's a tree. She was Maidenheart. Mimi was, I forgot. I don't know what Mimi was. I forgot what some of them were, but no, not actually. There was Nick. What are all their names? Nick, Adam, like their proper names. Mimi, Ray, Dorothy, Douglas, Neely, Patricia, Olivia. So no, not quite. But yeah, the group thinking and overwhelming tendency to mistake agreement for truth. I really like that one because if you're in a room of people and somebody says something and the rest are agreeing, then you are like then you tend to agree as well, even if you maybe don't. Then you're like, oh, I must be wrong. But that I think is kind of natural to us. I don't think that's gonna change. Um, and we're all operating in a dense fog of mutual reinforcement. Yeah, I don't think that's gonna change. It's just how humans work. Can't help you. Read the German version. That's okay. um, but yeah, I think we can go on to the chapters or chapters in the compile and try to get the rating. So, it's freezing. I hope you can see me well. So, the Overstory. Wait, one more. Yes, this group thing got me thinking too. When did or do I do this? Also, when don't I do things because others don't? Exactly. It is a great question, a great concept to explore on why people work that way. And when somebody does something, you're more likely to do it too. Mhm. Where the professor was dying and everybody thought he was fine. Yeah, exactly. It's, yeah, psychology. That makes me think of 1984. Yes. True. True. A little bit. Yeah. Um it is something to think about and something to keep in mind. Like for example, I think in that sense I'm not that um influentable. What is the word? Influenced? I'm not that gullible. I don't think that's the word I want to say, but I think I'm pretty good at like if I'm just not sure, I will not agree just because everybody else agrees. I'll be like, I don't know, I'm just gonna stay quiet or just be like, okay. If I if I'm in a group, yeah, if it's something that they would ask, like, okay, who thinks this is true, and nobody would raise their hand, I probably wouldn't raise my hand. But then if everybody else did raise their hand, I wouldn't raise my hand if I didn't think it was true, like, or I wouldn't just join the group in yes just because everybody else does, but I might not say that, like I would probably stay away just from saying anything. I would just be unsure, not like making decision based on what everybody else thinks. But yeah, I think it's tricky, or it can be very difficult. Like the people who give their opinion and start nodding and say, wouldn't you agree? Like they are leading you to the answer. Yeah, kind of. Or the answer they want. Yes, exactly. Like you did now. But okay, should we talk about the characters? What we would rate the characters for this book? Um, I think the characters made sense. I don't think they're extremely memorable. Oh yeah, the other book I was thinking about is Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow. That it reminded me a little bit of, but it wasn't as annoying, so that's good because of the game aspects. And yeah, anyway, the characters. I don't think they're extremely memorable. Um, I might remember the Patricia, the scientist. I will remember Olivia for sure, the girl who talked to the ancient beings. But otherwise, I think they were pretty like easy to forget. I really couldn't care for Ray and Dorothy for 90% of the book. I did like where it led to. I did like a little bit the end, like it got a little bit. closer to my heart, but I didn't like their point of view almost at all. Like, no. So yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I'll search now. Copal away. No worries. Difficult one. For me, it just had a little bit too many. I had a hard time remembering who was who, even at the end. And yes, agree, some weren't very memorable. Yeah, exactly. I think I agree. And okay, but that would be more about writing. So that's not about characters. So I think I would give characters like 7. I'm gonna be positive and say 7, I think, in that one. Patricia was my favorite to read about. Yes, I agree. Overall. And yes, later than Olivia, and in the end, I really liked and felt for Nick. Yeah. Nick. Oh, yeah. That was like after spoilers, after Olivia died, I couldn't figure out what Nick was doing. He went back to the tree, and then what? I couldn't figure out what he was doing. Whenever we had his point of view, I had no clue what was happening, where we were, what he was doing. Then in the end, it's revealed, and I thought it was so sweet. I thought it was beautiful, and yeah, that was great. But speaking of Nick, how did the freaking pictures of the chestnut tree come into play in the whole sense of the book? I think it was great, like setup for the book, because that's the first point of view we have, where we follow these generations of men taking pictures of the tree every month. I thought it was beautiful. It was kind of giving you the sense of what was to come. But in the whole sense of it, like, was it that it made Nick more interested in trees because he felt nostalgic and sad or something, because his dad and granddad would, like, great dad would take pictures and care about this tree, and then he wouldn't, if he didn't do that, if that didn't happen. But like, I don't know, like, nothing happened with the pictures later. I guess he just set him on the path, but nothing happened later, so that was a little strange. Just passing by to say hi since I haven't read it yet. Hello, hi. Thank you very much for stopping by. But we are talking about spoilers, so if you're interested in reading it and don't want to get spoiled, then go away quickly. But yeah, thank you very much for stopping by anyway. Oh, I read the pictures part. So boring. I actually thought it was fascinating, and I expected something big to happen with that. But yeah, I appreciated that the characters came from such different backgrounds. Like the computer guy, liked him too. Yeah, Nijay, I think he was. Yeah, it was really cool that they were so different, all of them. In the roots part, we see each character's connection to trees, and that is the spark that connected him to trees. I guess, yeah. I just expected it would be somehow carried to later as well, but I guess it makes sense that it was just to connect him to trees. Makes sense. But yeah, so I give characters 7. Next, we have atmosphere. What do we want with the atmosphere? Here we are supposed to, can I zoom in? Yeah, here, okay. How immersive was the read? Were you able to picture the setting, the characters, creatures? Was the energy in the scenes palpable, or was it not very convincing? So that's something to think about. I was a bit annoyed that it was all happening in the US. Yes, I felt the same. I get that they had to meet, and at least some were from immigrant families. It was just a bit too much centered there for me. Um, the author is American. It makes sense. It was set in the US. Um, so I'm not gonna like take stars or rating away from the book because of that. But I did think about it as well, and I do think about it a lot when I read some of the nonfiction books that are very US centered. And especially for nonfiction books, I feel like it doesn't make sense. For fiction books, I understand. For nonfiction books, it bothers me. But yeah, I do feel that. But it is not gonna, yeah, take away from the rating for me. He's called Nilay. Ni Ni Yes, Nilay, not Nijay. Nilay G. He was by his. My nephew is actually called Nilay. Oh, that's so close. Nice. Yeah. Okay, atmosphere. What did we think of the atmosphere? I think the atmosphere was great. Yeah, I think the atmosphere was good. There was no issues there. I didn't feel like taken out too much. I think sometimes the overall talking about the like metaphors and the connecting different things was a little bit taking away from it, because I knew the author is talking to me and is trying to tell me something. So then maybe that could take a bit, like it took me a little bit out of the story. But overall, I think it worked fine. So um, hope you can still hear me and see me well, because StreamYard says the Wi-Fi is not good. It bothers me more in nonfiction, because for certain things, I'm like, I need to know how this is also in the case of Europe now. Yeah, exactly. I feel the same. I don't love things that are US centric either, honestly. Yeah. When it's fiction, it doesn't bother me. It makes sense. If it's bothers me more if it's nonfiction, like Cleo said. Maybe the author didn't want the backlash of having characters flying around the world. That was also addressed in the book, actually. But yeah, yes. I felt the atmosphere, especially in the second part, a bit less in the first part. They felt a bit more like short stories, so that took away a bit. Overall, I like the atmosphere too. Yes, totally fair. I feel very similar. So I think atmosphere is gonna get also like 7. I think 7 is good. I don't think it's gonna get more. I wasn't like super immersed. It was good. Um, Next one we have writing. Here we want to know, yeah, did you enjoy the writing style? Was the prose to your liking or unique? Was it hard to follow or not very readable? How was the dialogue to narration ratio? Did it flow very easily and felt beautiful but effortless at the same time? Would you be keen on picking up another book from this author, even if it's a different genre? So, um, I love the atmosphere. Yes, that was beautiful when they were in the tree and there was the fish, there was the pond or something up in the trees. Like, what is that? That was amazing. Yeah, I love that as well. Um, Writing, I had my issues with. But I think it comes more down more to that I didn't have time to process it well. I didn't want to spend the brain power to process everything. I don't think I have the education to process everything, as in the education in understanding literature in this sense. So all those things are taking away from writing for me. But otherwise, I had no problem. Quite to the contrary, I think I loved how it was wrapped up. I loved how you could sense that this is supposed to mean something. I could sense that this is referring to something that happened and this is referring to something that will happen. I love all those things, and I love the symbolic and everything. And yeah, so I think writing again will be 7. It was good, and the improvements definitely could be done. Well, I don't have improvements, but like from my point of view, that I could have understood it more, and I couldn't understand it more because of the writing. So I think that's why that's a 7 for me. Yes, the pond in the tree. That was cool. I love the writing. Read another one of his afterwards. That one was more music based, which I care less about. So work less for me. Okay. Hmm. What did he write else? Richard. I mean, wait. I think here is a list of books he wrote. Orfeo, Generosity and Enchantment, The Echo Maker, The Time of Our Singing, Plowing the Dark, Gain, Galatea 2.2, Operation Wandering Soul, The Gold Bug Variations, Prisoner's Dilemma, and Three Farmers on Their Way to a Dance. And then later, The Bewilderment. So, yeah, cool. I did not read anything else by him, but I did like the writing, but it was not my favorite. I really like the writing. I'm glad I read it in German, but more because of its length than the language. I found it quite easy and fast to read, at least for the things it did. Yeah, I think it could have helped a lot if I read it in language that I 100% understand, which, I mean, I'm fluent in English, obviously, but it did do sometimes some things with the language that I did not quite grasp because I did not understand those English words. So that could also take away a bit. But still very eager to try Bewilderment at some point. Yeah. Am I sensing buddy read? I would totally read something else by him. Nice. Wait, Cleo, music based. What's it called? I need that. Ah, found it. Is that the Echo Maker? That sounds kind of could be music related. Um, but yeah, writing would be a 7 for me. Um, but I would be also open to read more of him by him, definitely. Can definitely buddy read. Let me add it to my list. Cancel. Do do do. Opa. Buddy read of Bewilderment, we say. Okay, but I don't own it, so I need to find out. Orfeo is the one I read. Okay, Orfeo, cool. So that was the most recent one, like the last one before the Overstory. Okay, cool, cool, cool. So next, plot. What did we think of the plot? Was the pacing good? Were there any parts of the story where you thought things have dragged on and got a bit tedious? Was overall plot satisfying? Were the reveals worth the journey? Was the plot in any way unique from the other books you've read? Did it surprise you in any way? Has it left you wanting to know more? Was it too complex, too bland, or just right? Now, here we could talk. Oh, there's also one called The Time of Our Singing. My review tells me that part two dragged a bit. Yes, I did feel like it worked perfectly. At the same time, it dragged a lot. At some points, I did feel like if it was 100, 150 pages shorter, it could have thrown more of a punch. But considering I didn't understand everything in the book, I don't dare to put that opinion as my personal true because I understand that there are things I did not understand. And if I did understand them, maybe I would think they were essential for the story. So, um, so there I'm not sure. I do think some parts I couldn't care less for some of the parts, like especially Ray and Dorothy. I think the ending was good. How I really liked what they turned into, and that they kind of were the representation of rewilding, which I think is brilliant, and that is definitely the best way, do not think. Um, but until that point, until they started doing that, couldn't care less for them. Um, I still give it 5 stars though. Good, very good for you. Yes, it worked. It worked perfectly, and I was never bored. But in the meantime, I was also a bit. It was also a bit too long. I think cutting one or two characters would have helped. Yes, I agree. Um, but I think was it unique? I don't know. I personally could have come up with a story like this. I don't think it was the plot that was unique about this book. I think the plot was any other person on planet. I think what made this book unique was the messaging and the comparison, the parallel between the forest society and the human society, and the connection, not the plot itself. I don't think that counts as plot. So I don't know. Also, there were some little things I didn't know why they were there at all. Like, for example, the therapy session with some woman. Was she called Nicole? Don't remember her name. I felt like it was, yeah. Um, yeah, I think that was more. I was thinking about it as well. Like, why are we going in such depth into this therapy session? But it was probably more of a therapy session for Mimi than for the woman. And I think it was more for Mimi to realize and to get to conclusions later on, and like to push her in a way, because throughout that session it seems like she realizes some things and she goes through some things. So I think it was more because of that, to show us that connection between past and future. I felt like it was unique because of the message and also the connection that was made between the different stories and nature. Was that the plot though? Wait, do I still have three? Tea. It's a very similar word. I have tea. Mm, yeah, but would it count as plot? Or would that be more towards the writing? I don't know what that would count as. Hopefully, we all still have tree. Or are trees. I know, right? Um, I do have tree. But yeah, plot, I'm gonna say. I don't feel like it's 8, but I don't think it's quite 7 either. It's gonna be 7.5. Next one we have intrigue. Here we are supposed to think, were you wishing you could be reading this book instead of doing whatever you were doing, or did it take some mental convincing to pick it back up? Were you intrigued to see where the story goes, what happens to the characters, how things will evolve? Did the story held your attention? Did the story hold your attention throughout, or was it not consistent? I think the intrigue. I did not want to pick it up when I wasn't reading it. I was totally trying to read other books, all the other books, and excited to read other books. But I also felt like I knew it was gonna give me something good, and I knew it was gonna be good. So, and I was definitely excited to see how it would all wrap up, but not because of the plot, but because of the message. So I don't know. In my opinion, the connection between the stories is part of the plot to bring them together like this. Could be. Yeah. Hard to say. The thing that kept me reading was the time limit and this book club talk. Yep. Yep. I feel that. Mm. So I'm going to say intrigue about 6, I think. Oh, we don't have much time to get up to the 4 stars. We'll see. Anyway, logic. Next up is logic. The world building. Was it overwhelming? Was it clear? What about the rules of the world? Well, the magic system doesn't apply. Did you have to stop at any point because things did not make sense or you found plot holes? Do you think the author has left too much unclear or overburdened you with unnecessary information? Did it feel like everything fit the story, setting, motives, backgrounds perfectly? Here, I think I don't have anything, like any comments to add to logic. I think everything made sense. I do not understand how Olivia died, but I guess it made sense. I love the vibes and the feeling I got. I think that's more what kept me reading than the actual plot itself. Yes, I agree with that. Mm. But with the, yeah, with the, what are we talking about? Logic. Intrigue. I'm gonna put intrigue to 7. Logic, I think worked no problem at all. I didn't have anything against that. So I think logic is gonna be a 10. That worked. Um, I'm satisfied with logic too, even though in the STEM part it felt a bit like magical realism, but that was more the feeling it gave me. Um, yeah, with the ancient beings that were talking to Olivia, you mean? Yeah, maybe that was just her brain cells uh, being damaged from all the drugs she took previously, but I didn't have problem with that as in logic. It didn't bother me to take away from the rating. It definitely had some magical realism or like kind of supernatural elements, you could say, but it did not feel unrealistic or illogical to me. True, we never know why the fire started early and Olivia died, but we didn't really need to. No, I think I think it was kind of explained why the fire started early. I think there were some faulty timers or yeah, actually I don't know. I did not understand that fully, but they didn't set off as they were supposed to. And she was, I guess, caught in the fire. But yeah. No, it didn't bother me at all. I liked it. Yeah, it gave the story a bit of a spiritual side. 100%. That is 100% correct word. Yes, spiritual. So yeah, logic. I definitely give 10 out of 10 there. And then the last thing we're gonna rate is enjoyment. How much did we enjoy it? I don't think I need to go into explanation. Did you enjoy the book overall, and was your enjoyment consistent throughout? I would say it was consistent throughout, and I did enjoy it. It did feel like work, not the physical work, but it did feel like mental work. But I loved it. I had a good time. I was excited to see where it goes. It did not nail it as I hoped it would. Maybe I just built up the expectations in my head too high, and it didn't really stick the landing for me as the whole book. I don't mean like the ending or anything, because I don't know, did it even have ending? It did, but I don't think the whole thing worked for me the way it is portrayed in many places, how it's like life-changing book. um it did give me something for sure. It did give me different point of view. It did shame me in not knowing any trees. I can, when I see oak, I'll tell you that's oak. If I see chestnut, I know it's a chestnut. And what, birch, I know, like I know couple trees, but it's like five maybe. So it did shame me in this, and it did make me feel like I really need to learn more. I loved when it said that the trees release some kind of chemicals when people are around. So if you love walking in nature, it could be just the trees bribing you into coming out and being out in the nature. And I just thought that was so beautiful. Um, and yeah, there were just so many things that I appreciated so much. But at the same time, I don't feel like it was, for me personally. It could be for general society, but for me personally, it was not a life-changing book, because it just absolutely terrifies me, and it's been terrifying me for many, many years, how fast we are cutting forests and trees. So it's not like a new concept to me. And that's why I also said previously that I could have thought of this plot myself. I couldn't definitely put together the connection between humans and trees and how they are connected, but the plot itself, people caring about trees and going to like becoming extremists, eco-terrorists, to protect trees, that I think is not a complicated plot to come up with. So um but I did enjoy it overall. Yes, consistent is a fitting word. It didn't blow me away, but overall I enjoyed it more than expected, actually. Nice. But also I went into it completely blind, so I couldn't expect anything. Fair, but that sounds good. Anyway. Uh, about the trees, I would have loved in the root part to have a full size picture of the reference tree with some details on leaves, seeds, fruits, maybe even in color. Imagine. Mine just had very small pictures, at least. Yes, that I didn't even think about, but it's true. Like, yeah, here are pictures like this. So, for example, yeah, this is Nicola's Hull, and there was the chestnut tree, was the star of the plot line, and there is, I guess, a chestnut leaf, even though that's quite not that easy to see. But then we have Nile, and he has this kind of tree, like a branch. So yeah, I agree. It could have been clearer. Or when there were like multiple trees planted, I would have loved to see how, you know, next to each other, how they actually looked. Yeah, Douglas was this. So yeah, I think that's a very good point. Every character was so well connected to a specific tree. A full size image would have been great. Yeah, that's true. I agree. But yeah, for this, the enjoyment, I think I would say, if I were to say 9, I think I would be lying. It's hard. What if you do 7.5? Okay, 7.5 brings us to 4 stars, which I think is fair. So we're gonna say 7.5. Um, I should have had the tree guide next to me, like the one the older couple used in the end. Yes, exactly. Exactly. Um, that would have been great. But you can still Google it. Still can Google it. But anyway, this turns out to be 7.57 for me, which is 4 stars. So I think that's good. It's better than the last, what, 3 books by we read in the book club. So I think 3 books were very good and 3 books were not that good for last year's 20 for last year's book club. So this is a 4-star book for me. I think I have some processing to do, so it could change potentially. Probably not higher. It could be knocked down to like 3.5 or something. I need to think on it. Because we'll see how much it stacks with me and how much I think about it, and if I feel like I need to change the rating. Maybe not at all, but maybe I will. So we'll see. But for now, it's 4 stars, so that's nice. Um, I think it's gonna be 4 stars for me too. Gonna give it a final rating after thinking about it and see how much it sticks to me. Exactly. Yes. I'm glad everyone enjoyed it so much more than I did. You know what? Maybe it's just the mood. because I'm telling you, like, I didn't want to, when you first mentioned that that's why you DNF'd, because of that quote, how life was so hard for her, and you felt it was because she's a woman. That's not at all the sense of the book. The book actually doesn't talk about sexism almost at all. I don't think so. It just treats everyone as their own person, regardless of if they are man or woman. So I don't think that's the vibe of the book whatsoever. So maybe if you feel like it again sometime, you could give it another try. But you did read the first point of view and you didn't like it. So maybe it's not gonna work. But I know sometimes books would work for me much more in different times when my mind is more to it, like just the mindset might be a bit different, the mood might be different, like what you're feeling for, like reading. So maybe at another time you could enjoy it too, because you did seem to appreciate some of the symbolism. So maybe you would like it, but I don't know. You don't feel like you have to. I'm just thinking. Wow, 2019 was a good year. Just checking my thumbnail from that year, I read Overstory, War and Peace, Colorless, Tukuru Tazaki, Lenny. All four are books I still regard highly. Nice. From those, I read only over the Overstory, and I never heard of the last two. But yeah, that sounds like a strong year. It wasn't just that quote. I'm not that judgmental, contrary to popular belief. Yeah, well, you did mention twice that quote, saying that that was totally nope. So I think it's reasonable to assume. But yeah, no, I know. But yeah, if the first POV didn't work, don't worry about it. It's not a book for you. It's fine. Not every book is for everyone. I mean, no book is for everyone. So totally fine. But I think that's it. Talked a lot about the overstory. I think it was pretty cool discussion. I think we talked about a lot of things. I have some quotes that I highlighted or well wrote down. I will try to post a review. I'm not sure if tomorrow, maybe I need to think about it a bit longer, but I will post about it. But now, what are we reading next? We can maybe turn off the spoilers for now, because no more spoilers, even though if people are not here because of spoilers, they're not going to come back. Anyway, next book for the book club is for January and February. So this month and next month. So the chat, the live discussion will be probably beginning of March. And I feel that this one will be easier to read than the chunker of the Overstory. And that's going to be The Right to Be Called by Sheila Cloutier. I imagine this is going to be again very much, it's not going to be US centered because she is Canadian. So we'll see, but might be Canadian focused. But it does talk about Arctic, and Arctic is also in Europe. So we will see, and Asia. So yeah, but I'm really excited about this one. This one was suggested by Josephine, and of course voted by all of you. So I am very much excited for this one. It will be on my next month's TBR. I am looking forward to highlight the crap out of this one, because this one, I usually do highlight and like annotate the book club books, but this one doesn't have a single annotation. I think I will add the annotations for the quotes I marked, I wrote down. I will add those. But otherwise, this felt like too much of a big, multi-layered, complex story to highlight things. But maybe again, I need to reread to get some things and maybe then highlight. But that's probably not going to happen. We'll see. But I can't wait to annotate this one. And yeah, this is going to be very interesting. It's a non-fiction book. And what is it? One woman's fight to protect the Arctic and save the planet from climate change. I'm really, really looking forward to this. It's around 300 pages long, so sounds good. Um, Thanks so much for hosting. I had a lot of fun and will participate in the future too, for sure. Thank you very much for joining. It was great that I very much appreciate that you read it and joined the show or the discussion. Um, it's nice to like I don't want to say it's not nice to have Jess and Cleo here. It's great. Like all we have all perspectives. Cleo who read it so long ago. We have Jess who really didn't like it, and we have you who read it recently. Well, and me. So it was really nice to have you who just read it, so we could talk about more concrete things. And I appreciate it very much that you put so much effort and time into it today. But hopefully you go get some food soon because this has taken so long uh, that you need to be starving now, or you must be starving now. So please go eat. Happy I crashed the live. Yeah, I'm happy you joined as well. It's always happy, always nice to have you. Exactly. Fine, we get the message. No, but I mean, it's the more people, the better. I love that all of you were here. I'm just saying it's like to talk about something concrete that we remember because we read it just now. If I read the book 5 years ago, I wouldn't remember anything. So that's a little difference. But yeah, I cooked and ate in the meantime. Oh, that's good. I'm happy you did that. I was a bit worried. But okay, that's it for this live show. We discussed the Overstory. I gave it 4 stars. I'm glad Natalie enjoyed it. I'm sad Jess didn't. And I hope we'll have all a great time with the next book for the book club. And yeah, it's time to wrap it up here. Thank you very much for joining. Um, and I will see you in my sprint on Tuesday or in the meantime on Discord channel. So thank you very much for joining and have a great rest of the day or a great evening. Bye, guys.